Enakoto. Ici, Ihohirima Enakoto. Welcome to the Gombe Islands, or Ma'ariba in French Polynesia. Like in postal cards, every day here is a very sunny day. We live on a small island which hosts about 20 people. This scenery makes it ideal for a spiritual retreat since there's no internet, not a lot of phone service, and sometimes not even electricity.
The reason why I came here is this. You probably recognize them, these are pearls. But do you know where they come from? How they're made? I spent 3 months in remote islands working in a pearl farm called Gombe Pearls. I'm taking you there to discover more about the pearls of the Pacific. Everything starts here, or more exactly, there. It's forbidden to fish oysters in their natural habitat because it's harmful to their populations. So we use artificial collectors on which the larvae will fix themselves. The baby oysters, or spat, will grow on there for months. This is how we get the raw material for this trade. Once big enough, the oysters are washed and sent to the farm to be laid in different supports according to their size. It protects them from ferocious predators and favorizes their growth. Just like humans and parrotfish, the turtles love the oysters. Different techniques are used for storage. We have blue kangaroos for babies, CTN, black kangaroos for bigger ones, grills and strings that we also call chapelet. These are called kangaroos because we put the oysters in their little pouches. Today, Eric Jr. is going with the employees to buy oysters at Claude's Pearl Farm. It's pretty common to buy oysters at all stages of growth from other producers. Claude's staff is freediving to retrieve the black kangaroos, multiple kilos heavy. The pearl knockers are loaded in the boats of Gombe Pearls. Junior will come back with 12,000 knockers. They are big enough for grafting and starting to produce pearls. The future successor of the farm is working alongside his little brother, Ari, which is here temporarily. They are taking off the little shells and organisms which escaped the water pressure washing. Their father, Eric Sichwa, at the head of the company, is laying the oysters in his own black kangaroos. From their birth, it takes between 1.5 years and 2 years for an oyster to reach maturity. The shells are washed before grafting. It's only the day after that the oysters are sent to the farm for wedging. This process consists of creating a small space for the grafter to work on the shell easily without killing it. The grafter selects oysters whose shell's color is intense. He opens the selected oyster to extract a small part of the mantle. It's the black bordering tissue that secretes the external skeleton of the animal. It produces nacre. This is a very delicate part of the process because fractions of millimeters can greatly influence the color of the pearl. Once everything is set, the grafter carefully opens another oyster. He makes a small cut on the pearl sac. In there, he inserts a nucleus made of shell of an oyster found in the Mississippi. Then he adds the part of the mantle which has been previously prepared. The mantle cells will multiply and upholster the pearl pouch. These cells are gonna cover the nucleus with nacre. This process is gonna create what we call a pearl. Once the operation is finished, the oysters are fixed on a grill before being sent back to the ocean for a little more than a year. Today, Giona and Marion will wash the oyster supports. They must be washed regularly so the oyster's growth won't be slowed down. Indeed, the support of the mother of pearls will host other shells and organisms. It will weigh down everything and can take it down to the bottom of the ocean. The water pressure shouldn't be too powerful because it could damage the shell. Washing is a process that takes a lot of time, but it's an important step to bring quality to the pearls. Ari told me that it's like with children. If you take good care of it, they have good food, they're clean, they have more chances of being healthy and take care of your retirement later. Interesting way of seeing things.
Ça va? Oui, Maxime, ça va. Moi, c'est Théâtre Giona. Je travaille ici sur la ferme d'Éric Chichois. Ça va? T'aimes bien le boulot? Ah oui, moi j'aime bien le boulot ici, là. J'aime bien mes amis, tout. J'aime bien la vie. Ah oui, j'aime bien la vie. Bon, je t'explique mon rôle de travail là ici à Taruru, ici à Rikitea. Hein? Bon, voilà. Et on est des polyvalents. Je suis polyvalent avec Marion. Lui aussi, c'est un collègue aussi de travail. Et on travaille pour Éric Chichois, tu vois. Et notre travail, c'est... Il y a toutes sortes de travail. Il y a le lavage, hein, pour nettoyer les nappes parce que ça va être trop tard. On retard notre lavage. Il y a le transfert à faire aussi. Il y a... Il y a tout. Il y a les pocailles à faire, toi, les trucs maçons. On est des polyvalents. On peut dire on est des polyvalents. Ben, mon poisson préféré, ben, j'aime tout, tous les poissons. Mais dommage, ici à Rikitea, il y a certains poissons ici, c'est terre, on ne peut pas manger, sinon on va aller à Maman là, on va faire Evassan là. De moi, sinon, merci le Seigneur le temps aujourd'hui et bon voyage.
One year and few months after grafting, the oysters made layers of nacre thick enough for harvesting. The oysters are sent back to the farm to be prepared. Raimana, grafter, also from Tahiti, makes sure first that there's a pearl inside the shell. It is possible that the nucleus has been completely forced out of the sac. This is a rejection. If everything happened correctly, the nucleus is completely covered by nacre and has a round or almost round shape. It is possible to insert a new nucleus in the pearl sac. The nucleus has to be about the same size as the pearl. A good grafter must be able to repeat the process more than 400 times a day. I've heard that it took 3 to 4 months to have the good movements and be able to reach those numbers. Then it takes 3 to 4 years to become a good grafter. The fact that you have to wait a year to see the results of your work makes the learning part tricky. The techniques were developed by Japanese people. They would come here only for this process of grafting. Then, the Chinese workforce, less expenses, slowly took over. Here, the grafters are locals. It's been years since grafters are trained in this farm. I think it's a positive that locals are being employed. When COVID-19 hit, Chinese people had to go back to their country, and a lot of pearl farms stopped their production. A lot of them sank down, whereas Gambier pearls kept going and shaken. The overgrafted oysters are stored with grills or strings that we call chapli. The more horizontal the oysters are, the more chances there is that the nucleus won't move inside the pearl pouch. Therefore, the pearls have a round shape. That's why the nuts has to be as tight as possible. You need to have very strong fingers to be able to do hundreds of these nuts each day. Jaco is one of the employees which has been working with Eric for the longest time. He's been in the pearl industry for more than 30 years. Today, he carries the grafted oysters from the farm to the water for storage. No matter the weather conditions, he does his job stoically and with good humor. Most of the farms have divers for this job. Here, it's different. Innovative ways of working allow gains in productivity. He's also the one who brings the shells grafted more than a year ago for harvest. His job requires him to be one of the first in the morning, but also the very last one at the farm at the end of the day.
Oui, voilà. Je m'appelle Orishaku.
C'est quoi ton travail?
Le travail, c'est de stocker, sortir, faire du stockage, faire de tout quoi.
Ça fait combien tu peux expliquer vite fait comment t'es arrivé un peu dans le milieu de la perle?
Comment je suis arrivé? Voilà. Au début, j'ai commencé la fête de Bourtière, de la société de Robert Val, en 1992. Et maintenant, je suis architecte. Ça fait 13 ans maintenant que je suis architecte. Pour Eric Sichoa.
Ça va, t'aimes bien?
Ah oui, ça me plaît mon travail. Même si c'est dur. Hein.
T'aimes bien la vie sur le moto?
Ah oui, c'est calme, aucun bruit, travail, maison, après, travail encore le demain.
C'est quoi ton poisson préféré?
Poisson, la bière, Hinano.
Poisson.
Ah, poisson. Ah, pas boisson. Poisson, ok. Peu importe.
If the oyster is too old, the grafting process has already took place a few times. The colors and luster of the pearls are gonna be lesser. The oyster is then killed. An oyster can be grafted up to 3 to 4 times. If the nucleus is rejected, then the oyster is also killed. In case of a rejection, chances are that the mantle tissue that has been inserted in the grafting process is still there. It would transform into nacre. This is how we get the keshi. We take the muscle that usually keeps the shell together. We call that the korori, and it's delicious. The rest of the animal is given to the fish. The shell is put in those black bags that we sell for handicraft. Nothing is wasted. When everyone is done with work, Eric Sr. goes home with the harvest of the day. He has to wash the pearls with soap. The pearl industry is in crisis. Lots of pearl farms have been shut down. Series of bad legislative decisions, COVID crisis, the unavailability of the Chinese grafters made it impossible for some to keep the farms afloat. The small island on which the farm is located belongs to his wife. It's her who decided to create a company known as Gambier Pearls in 2009. When he first came to the Motu, there was nothing. He used to sleep in a tent, to take showers with ocean water. Now, he has more than 10 employees that live on the Motu. After drying, there's the first sorting to take out the pearls of very low quality. The pearls are polished with those machines. It's an important step to bring out the luster of the pearls. Eric has more than 30 years of experience in this line of work. Eric makes statistics on pearls to improve the quality by studying diverse protocols. During harvesting time, it's not unusual for Eric to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to sort out the pearls before heading to the farm. Freshwater pearls are often white, lavender, or peach. A single oyster can produce dozens of those pearls. They're not always round and the quality is considered lesser. They usually come from China. Akoya pearls from Japan and China have colors always close to white. The Tahitian black pearls that comes in reality from the archipelagos of Tuamotu and Gambier are not always black. Their color is often gray or green, but you can also find easily other colors. You can find chocolate brown, aubergine purple, blue, even white. South Sea pearls refer to white silvery pearls when they come from Australia and yellow golden when they come from Indonesia or Philippines. There are 4 big groups of shapes. The most often asked is round, but there are also circled, droplets, and baroque ones, the ones that the shape cannot be easily defined. I'm not afraid to say that I like the round ones, but I think I prefer the other shapes because of their uniqueness. Luster is the way in which a mineral reflects light. The more mirror-like the pearl is, the higher the value. There is a main color, but you often see reflections with other colors. This is due to iridescence. The way that the crystals of nacre are positioned make them catch light and reflect some colors. This is especially present with the Tahitian pearls. You can also see that with lots of birds, the peacock being the most notorious example. Quality is rated with a letter system differing in some countries. A being the best, with less than 10% of the surface being affected by imperfections. The closer you get to D, the higher the percentage of affected surface. The yearly production of Gambier pearls exceeds 100,000 and represent only 1% of the country's pearl production. It's still an impressive number when some farms only produce a few thousands each year. The pearl ecosystem is a big source of income in French Polynesia. It's a chance to have economy and ecology working together if the industry develops itself in a durable way. The lagoon of Mangareva produces a third of the production of the country. The rest comes from 23 of the Tuamotu Islands. The first contact with Europeans was in 1826. The migrations and disease that ensued provoked an important drop in the population. In 1887, there were 463 inhabitants, compared to an estimation of 5,000 a century before. In 2017, the population was 1,535, a third coming from other archipelagos. The impact on the unique culture of the people will maybe be a subject for another video. Here's a precise map made by my fine artist's hands. We're far away from everything. My country is composed of 5 archipelagos on more than 100 islands. Gambier Islands represent the smallest archipelago of Polynesia, 1,600 kilometers away from Tahiti and 4 hours of flight. Even if it's in the same country, the language and culture were very distinct. The archipelago has a few high islands and some coral islands called Motu. All of it was once a big single island a very long time ago. Oysters eat plankton. The opening of the lagoon, which makes sure of the renovating of the water, makes the ideal conditions for pearl production. The pearls of the Gambia are known for their color and luster. The farm is located on the east of the archipelago on a small island called Taraururoa. We can go around the Motu in less than 3 hours or a dozen of minutes on the back of a shark. If you try to do so, don't use nurse sharks. It's very important. We save the rainwater. Electricity is provided by those solar panels and Electrogen Group. The employees go to the village once a week for grocery shopping. In July, August and September, it's colder in there. There's a lot of rain and a constant 60 km per hour wind. Humidity levels around 147.6%. I can tell you we dress warm at night. The working conditions are also affected. It doesn't stop us though. Maybe it makes it a little bit funnier, a little bit more interesting in a way. Living on an island makes you think that you would eat a lot of fish. However, an illness called ciguatera makes eating some lagoon fish a hassle. Throwing up, diarrhea, tingling and itchiness on the skin. Somebody told me that they lost more than 20 kilograms in a week. Despite all of that, he spends a lot of time over and underwater chasing fish as soon as he can. Today is a holiday, but because the big boats are there, all of the employees are heading to the docks. We transport the bags of shells that have been sold. These bags will be sent to Tahiti. The Nukuhau and Tapuro 8 are boats that link Tahiti to these remote islands by coming there around once a month. They are essential for the professionals of the remote islands because they bring the fuel that is so important on the boats and machinery and Electrogen Group. They also bring fresh veggies, frozen merchandise, building materials, small furniture, and not so small furniture. Our grafter, Raymana, is receiving his new boat. No matter if it's the weekend or a holiday like today, it is necessary to come and get the stuff from the boat. If you're unlucky, the two boats arrive at the same time, and you may have to wait a while if you have stuff to get on both of them. The dock is too small for both of them to debark, so one must wait for the other to finish. That day, we arrived at 9 AM to send the shells back. Mona, Junior and I had to wait until midnight to get the fuel. We went back slowly to the Motu, using only the moonlight to guide us. With 8 barrels of gasoline, I had the comfort that lack of it wouldn't be an issue, at least. I was in Mangareva for 3 months, during which I made this video, a series of pictures, and I worked there. At the beginning the work was hard. I was slower and less endurant than any other employee at the farm. I had doubts regarding my usefulness in it. I also started to question my direction in life. For example, how many years will I still have to do these kinds of projects before I'll be able to make a living out of it? And will I still love making images by then? Or how long should I wait before I cut my hair? The people working there have all of my respect. Some of them have been in this industry for decades. They live away from the comfort of cities, have very physical labors. Some of them haven't met with their families or children for years because of how remote it is. Their expertise makes it seem like it's easy, but by being close to them and sharing their daily lives for a bit, listening to them talk about their future and their lives, I could see that it's not. Here you can see me on the left, with Feitiari fixing the grafted oysters on a grill. They will be transported by Jaco and stored in water for more than a year to grow pearls. I didn't really improve on this. The contrast between Veitiari and I is consequent.
Comme ça?
I had trouble understanding how to tie the knots. It's absolutely possible that some Oysters support is chilling at Bikini Bottom right now. It's been a while since I haven't felt as stupid as when I asked Junior to show me how to tie the same knot that he showed me already a dozen times and more. Here, we are storing shells that have been bought to another producer. I recently arrived at the farm, so you can see me struggle a little bit. It takes me about 50 seconds for one kangaroo, and I'm tired at the end. The second sequence was filmed around the end of my stay. We can see that I'm way faster. I could store 3 grills in less time than it took me for one kangaroo when I started. It's true that in the first sequence, the oyster support is heavier, but on the second one, the ocean is shaky. It's harder. The rope is constantly moving and you have to adjust your posture accordingly. Imagine tying your shoe while being very drunk. These grills were grafted more than a year ago. They've just been washed and we store them for tomorrow. Their pearls will be harvested at the first hour of the morning. I was often in charge of the koruri, the most dispensable task at the farm. It seemed impossible for me to do it at the same speed as the other. I wasn't succeeding and I didn't want it to be there. But by doing it hundreds of times, I also got better and even enjoyed it at the end. With the right hand, I take out the stuff that we don't eat and give it to the fishes. And what's left in the shell is the koruri. This is the stuff that we eat. This video has also been taken at the beginning of my stay, whereas that one around the end of it. Before separating the koruri, I check if there's a keshi or anything that has nacre on it in the pearl pouch. Here you can see that I found something, probably a grain of sand that has been covered by nacre. Once again, in a few weeks, I became 3 to 4 times more productive as an employee. I used that new place to discover pearl farming, but also to rediscover myself. I used this opportunity to create or reinforce habits like waking up early, working on my images and working out, hoping that it would make my days at work easier. There was no hot water. The days at work were often exhausting. By living there, it's a little bit like I went back in time. Before, a part of the comfort that modern life brought with fast internet, shops everywhere, drinkable water, the Kardashians, back to a time where the communities were too small not to say hi to your neighbors. It made me think of the stories that my dad used to tell me of when he grew up in a small village in Huahine. When you don't have a TV, you don't see the wars every day. When you don't have Instagram or Facebook, you don't compare yourself to those people who look more successful. It doesn't change the fact that some countries are at war and there are people who are more successful than you will ever be. But somehow you end up spending less time thinking about it. We get more space for oneself, for important work, to appreciate a good meal at the end of a hard day, hot coffee, read what stretches your mental abilities, to be in deep communion with nature. These instants of poetry will be the ones that I would like to remember.
Montrer la combattance des gens de Mariva. Tout droit, de décrocher. Là, c'est le nez tourné. Ça filme là? Ok, ça filme.
Ok, celui qui a le plus de poissons a gagné.
On va aller pêcher là, pêcher. Regardez les poissons. S'il y a un SP, il y a un fiche. On peut mettre dans l'eau, hein, mon père. On va pas tous se pencher à droite, hein.
Ah, je sais peut-être de l'autre côté.
Voilà. Ah oui, c'est encore moi de le tout, ce qui fait un update de la situation. Alors là, malheureusement, toujours pas de poisson. Et en plus de ça, j'ai cassé ma ligne. Voilà. Et c'est pas sûr. Cassé. Et Maxime continue à pêcher. Il a attrapé un requin. Mais il s'est sauvé. Et c'était gros, quoi. Voilà, peut-être là. Ah! So. En attendant, il y a aussi la pluie, un autre phénomène qui nous arrive dessus. La pluie, tornade. J'espère c'est pas trop fort. En tout cas, là, le vent il se lève, comme vous pouvez le voir. J'espère que vous m'entendez. Parce que là, il y a beaucoup de vent. Et puis, bon, voilà quoi. Moi, je vais essayer de tenir le coup. Et je deviens avec vous. Ah, c'est ça mon truc. Non, ça commence. Il a le requin, il est là. Il est là.
Putain, il a pris la mission.
Le requin, il est parti là. Et il a pris, il a tout cassé, c'est là. Bon. Voilà quoi, casser les lignes. Et en plus de ça, il y a, regarde les vagues. Regarde les vagues. Regarde les vagues. Qui arrivent mon pote. Et en plus, il y a la tornade qui arrive.
Sometimes you just need to cut some stuff off, and you'll be able to tell what's essential from what's not. One day, I asked one of the employees if she was happy, and she stopped for a second to think about it and answered, "It's not really that we are happy here. I would say that it's more like we're good." I was surprised by that answer, and maybe I should also aim to be good instead of trying to be happy. Most of the jewelry comes from the depths of earth. It's not the case for pearls. They come from the ocean. A batch of pearls can reflect light, but it can also reflect a know-how, attention to detail, and even a little bit of obsession. I'm not gonna say that in 3 months my life has completely changed and I became the very best employee at the farm. Although this is arguable. Yeah, I would say this is arguable, that's fair. But this experience expanded my grasp of the world that I live in, that's for sure. And who knows, maybe the inhabitants of Rikitea will see me again if I ever have to hide from the world.